My wife and I started a small candle business from home. Our neighbor complained about the smell, then about the foot traffic, then about the vibe. We never even had visitors. One morning we found a citation on our door. Then another. When we tracked down the source, we discovered our address had been registered online as a vape shop, complete with fake reviews. I reported it. But the domain owner had a familiar email address. It was the same one our neighbor used for the block newsletter. My wife and I started a small candle business out of our home in Raleigh, North Carolina. Nothing flashy. Just us, a spare bedroom turned workspace, and a garage we used to store supplies. We didn't have employees. We didn't have customers dropping by. Everything was done online. Orders came in through Etsy or our website, and we shipped them out. No signs, no lines of cars, no noise. Just wax, oils, and a bit of creativity. Hannah, my wife, has always loved candles. Making them was her escape. After getting laid off from a desk job she hated, she finally took the leap and went full-time. I helped on weekends and evenings. I handled logistics, website stuff, packaging. She was the heart of the brand. For a few months, it felt like we were building something real. Sales picked up. A local boutique featured us. We started seeing return customers. The extra income helped, but more than that, it made Hannah feel like she had purpose again. She was proud. So was I. Then our neighbor started making things hard. Sharon. That's not her real name, but it fits. Early 60s, lives directly across the street. She runs the HOA newsletter and takes it way too seriously. She's one of those people who watches every car that drives down the street and makes a big show of bringing in your trash bins if you're even an hour late. Her lawn is perfect. Her tone is always polite but sharp. At first, it was small talk. "You guys have a lot of boxes lately," she said one day while I was unloading supplies. I smiled. "Yeah, we run a little online shop. Candles." She nodded slowly. "Hope you're not planning to bring customers over. This is a quiet neighborhood." Another time she asked Hannah, "Do you sell out of your house or just ship?" "We just ship," Hannah told her. "Well, that's good," Sharon said, like she was giving us permission. We didn't think much of it at first. A nosy neighbor, sure. But nothing serious. Then came the notes. Typed. Folded. Left in our mailbox. "Strong smells affect those with allergies. Please be mindful. Your activity is starting to affect the neighborhood." We laughed about it at first. We weren't burning candles nonstop. We used sealed jars. We worked with the windows closed. And we weren't running a factory. It was a home business in the most literal sense. Then came the citations. One morning I found a yellow paper taped to our front door. Zoning violation. Operating retail in residential zone without proper permit. I called the number listed. The city official told me it was based on a complaint. Someone reported us as running a retail smoke shop out of our garage. What? I explained we made and shipped candles. No foot traffic. No storefront. He seemed confused too, but said once a report is filed, they have to document it. We'd be fine if no further complaints came in. 2 weeks later, another citation. This one came with a $250 fine. I was pissed. I called again. This time, I demanded to know where they got the idea we were a vape shop. The city inspector pulled up a listing. "It says here Carolina Clouds Vape and Smoke. Same address as yours." I couldn't believe it. I typed our address into Google. And there it was, a fake business listing. Carolina Clouds Vape and Smoke. Our exact address? Our house. The listing had fake photos of vape gear. A fake phone number that just rang endlessly. And fake reviews, over a dozen of them. Some were vague complaints. Others were insane. Guy got angry when I asked to see products. Real sketchy. Place reeks. Not even sure it's legal. Felt unsafe. Definitely not a real shop. It was all fake. All of it. But it looked legit to anyone who didn't know better. Worse, when I searched further, I found a website linked to the business. It had our home address and stock images of vape products. The contact email? Sharon_Lakewood@star.com. That name hit me hard. Lakewood was our subdivision. And that email matched the one listed in the HOA newsletter. The one Sharon used. The one she told us to contact with concerns. She did this. She made a fake vape shop using our home address. She created fake reviews, then called the city and reported us. She poisoned our name, made us look like criminals, and tried to destroy everything Hannah worked for. And the worst part? She was still outside every morning, smiling and waving like she hadn't just set our lives on fire. I wasn't going to let her win. I didn't tell Hannah at first. Not because I wanted to hide it, but because I needed time to figure out what to do. She's not built for this kind of stress. She takes things personally. And this was personal. I took screenshots of everything. The fake listing. The fake reviews. The site with our address. The domain owner info. I filed reports with Google, the city, even the Better Business Bureau. But this kind of stuff doesn't vanish overnight. I thought about confronting Sharon directly. I imagined knocking on her door and watching the smile drop off her face. But something told me not to give her that satisfaction yet. She wanted us to lash out, to mess up, to give her something real she could report. So I waited. I started digging into her online footprint instead. She used that same Sharon_Lakewood email from more than just the HOA. She left reviews on local businesses, some glowing, some suspiciously critical. I found her Facebook, where she posted about keeping our neighborhood clean of bad elements. She ran a community group where she pushed the idea of monitoring home-based businesses for safety. She thought she was the sheriff of the suburbs. So I played along. The next HOA meeting was at the community clubhouse. We never went before. But this time, I made sure we were there early. Sharon was at the front, setting up snacks and papers like she was running for office. She looked surprised to see us. "Glad you could make it," she said with that polite tone she used when she was hiding something. "Wouldn't miss it," I said. The meeting dragged on for over an hour. Street repaving updates, lawn maintenance rules, noise complaints. Then Sharon opened the floor for new business. I raised my hand. "I'd like to bring up a concern," I said, standing up. "Someone created a fake business listing using my home address. It was listed as a vape shop. It caused the city to fine us and damaged our online business. We found out the website and reviews were all fake." People started murmuring. A few heads turned toward Sharon. "I tracked the domain," I continued. "It was registered using an email tied to our HOA newsletter. Sharon's email." Sharon didn't flinch. "That's ridiculous," she said. "Anyone could fake that." "That's what I thought," I said. So I did more digging. I handed out printed screenshots, domain registration, the listing, and side-by-side posts where she used the same email for both the fake site and HOA business. People went quiet. "I've also reported everything to the city and Google," I added. "But the damage is done. We lost weeks of sales. We've had to explain to customers that we don't sell vape pens out of our garage." Someone finally broke the silence. "You're saying she framed your house as a vape shop?" "She did," I said. "On purpose. To shut us down." Sharon stood up. "This is a smear campaign. I don't know what he's talking about." Her voice shook just a little. But the room had turned. People were whispering, looking at her differently. "I'm not asking for anything," I said. "Just wanted everyone to know who they're dealing with." That was when things really started to unravel. A few days later, I got an email from another neighbor. Then another. Turns out we weren't the first ones Sharon had tried to ruin. One guy said she reported him for unauthorized home daycare when he had his sister's kids over for a week. Another said Sharon tried to get her fined for landscaping violations because she grew vegetables in her front yard. The stories kept coming. So I collected them. Every message, every screenshot, every note. I built a file. And I sent it to the city, the HOA board, even the local news tip line. I still hadn't told Hannah. Not yet. Because what I was about to do next would change everything. A week later, the story blew up in a way I didn't expect. One of the neighbors I'd shared the file with, Tim, a guy 2 blocks over, sent it to his cousin who worked at a local news station. I didn't even know. Not until a WRAL news van pulled into our street on a Wednesday afternoon and parked right in front of Sharon's house. I was in the garage, packing orders, when Hannah opened the door and yelled, "Why is there a reporter on our lawn?" My stomach dropped. I hadn't told her. I was still waiting for the right moment. Now there was no choice. So I told her everything. Right there on the garage steps. About the fake vape listing, the fake reviews, the domain registration. About Sharon's email. About the meeting. About how I'd quietly been putting together a case. She stared at me. Her face was pale. "You should have told me. I didn't want you to worry. I was worried. But I thought I was just being paranoid. You let me believe I was imagining it." She walked back inside without saying another word. Meanwhile, Sharon came outside in a cardigan like it was some TV drama. The reporter tried to ask her questions. She said, "No comment," and slammed the door. The camera crew stood there for a moment, filming the house, then turned their attention across the street. To us. "Would you be willing to talk on camera?" the reporter asked me. I hesitated. I didn't want to be the guy on TV whining about candles. But I looked at Hannah through the window. She was standing there, arms crossed, watching everything. So I said yes. I kept it simple. Told them about our small business, how we worked from home, how we followed the rules. I explained how the citations came out of nowhere, and how we traced it back to a fake vape listing using our home address. I didn't mention Sharon by name, but I made it clear it came from someone in the neighborhood. Someone who went out of their way to hurt us. The segment aired the next night. And it hit harder than I expected. That same evening, Hannah's Etsy shop saw a flood of new orders. Strangers left comments like, "Screw your neighbor, I'm buying 4," and "Supporting you all the way." Her email blew up. So did the Instagram account. In one day, our followers more than doubled. But not all the attention was good. The HOA held an emergency meeting. Not a regular meeting. An emergency one. Private. Members only. I got an email about it but no invite. I figured they were discussing community image, or whatever HOA boards do when their little kingdoms get rattled. Then I heard from Tim again. He was on the board. He told me Sharon was trying to spin the whole thing. "She's saying you fabricated the entire story to boost your business. That you made up the vape shop listing, the reviews, even the news segment." "What?" She even printed out fake screenshots. Old ones? Edited ones? Like you somehow tricked Google into flagging her. Is anyone believing her? He paused. Not really. But it's getting messy. That's when I realized she wasn't going to back down. Not ever. She wasn't embarrassed. She was angry. She was doubling down. And she wanted revenge. 2 nights later, our mailbox was torn open. Not just vandalized. Ripped off its post and thrown into the ditch. A few of our candle orders were scattered in the grass, opened and ruined. I didn't call the cops. Not right away. I installed cameras instead. 3 of them. Hidden. 1 in the porch light, 1 in the bird feeder, and 1 across the street, camouflaged in a bush near a tree that had a view of her driveway. Then I waited. It only took 4 days. It was just after midnight when I saw her. The camera alert went off on my phone. I opened the app, still half asleep, and watched the black and white footage. There she was, Sharon. Hoodie pulled over her head, crouching by our porch. She was holding something in her hand. A bottle. She poured it out over our welcome mat. Then pulled a lighter from her pocket. My heart stopped. She was going to set our house on fire. But the flame didn't catch. The wax in the candles must have rubbed off on the mat. We cleaned spills out there all the time. She tried again. Flick. Flick. The flame sparked, but nothing lit. She got frustrated, stood up, and kicked the mat aside, then turned back to run across the street. I called 911. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely speak. I told them everything. Gave them the footage. The cop on the phone stayed with me until the officers arrived. She was still in her house when they showed up. They arrested her on the spot. Possession of accelerants. Attempted arson. Destruction of mail. Harassment. The footage was clear. Too clear. She didn't even try to hide her face once the hoodie slipped. The fire didn't catch, but the charges did. And the fallout hit fast. The news ran another story, this time with her name. Her face. Her mugshot. Local HOA leader arrested after trying to torch neighbor's porch over home business dispute. Turns out she had a history. 2 other cities. 2 other neighborhoods. Same story, complaints, accusations, false reports. She moved here after her last HOA banned her for harassment. The board voted to remove her. Unanimous. She lost her job too. She worked part-time for a local accounting firm. Her mugshot was bad for business. But the story doesn't end there. A week after her arrest, we got a letter. Her lawyer. She claimed we damaged her reputation. That our public attacks cost her income and caused emotional distress. She wanted damages. A retraction. I almost laughed. Instead, we filed a civil suit of our own. For business defamation, harassment, attempted arson, and vandalism. We had video. Emails. Messages from neighbors. News coverage. Everything. Her lawyer dropped her case after 1 week. Ours moved forward. The court awarded us $87,000 in damages. She didn't have it. She had to sell her house. We bought it. It was never about the house. We didn't even want it. But I wanted her to see the vape shop she invented be legally owned by the people she tried to destroy. We turned it into our business HQ. Official zoning, legit permits, everything clean and legal. And we named it after her fake listing. Carolina Clouds. Candles only. Every customer gets a flyer in their bag, our story, her mugshot, and a line that says, "Real business. Real address. No smoke." And Sharon? Last I heard, she moved in with her sister in Georgia. Can't get a job because her record pops up in background checks. No one on the block misses her. The HOA newsletter got a redesign, too. Full color now. No drama. As for Hannah and me? We still work late. We still argue about wax colors and labels. But our business? It's stronger than ever. And every time I walk into that office, into what used to be Sharon's house, I smile. Because that smell she hated so much? It's everywhere now.